This is not the show that I wanted to give you guys today, but we are all processing together the loss of a really great voice in the conservative movement. Charlie Kirk, who I know everyone has already heard by now, was shot during his first stop of the American Comeback Tour. And it's been reported that he has died. 31 years old, a husband and a father. And he dared do what the left apparently thinks you should die for, which is have a respectful dialogue, have a respectful conversation, sit down, let's talk. Here's a microphone. I'm going to give you the platform. And we're literally, like, when I tell you we are literally learning about this in real time, I mean it. I'm joined by Matt Marsden, Blaze TV contributor, who, we genuinely, sitting at this table, just learned this. So, trying to process it all. We're going to do this together. I know that there is potentially live coverage going on the Blaze right now. There are shows that are being canceled, but I decided let's all process this together. And I have some things perhaps that I need to get off my chest. But the idea that, and by the way, I think we've got some view of him being shot. I don't even know that I want to play it. I don't think I do.
No.
I don't want to play it. I don't want to see it again. I don't want to relive it. There are people who are posting, this is just a warning. There are people who are posting on social media a very, very graphic video of Charlie getting shot in like the neck area. And I just recommend that you guys don't watch that. Don't just scroll past it. Don't look at it. Please stop posting it. This was a father and a husband, and they don't have their patriarch now. And I would hate to think that they would see that on social media as they were innocently scrolling. So I don't really want to play it. And as of the time of this taping, we don't even know who did it, because they had a suspect in custody. There was video of him saying, shoot me, as he was being taken by police. And now what we're being told is that that wasn't actually the guy and that they don't have a suspect in custody. It's really hard for me to process how all of that can be true. But here we sit. And President Trump posted on Truth Social, "The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you." So, it's really hard to believe that this can happen still in this country on the heels of something so horrific. I was already like here with what happened in Charlotte. And I'm just kind of at a loss, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really dark day, isn't it? I mean, I think that Charlie was a really great man. And like you said, all he wanted to do was continue in dialogue with people and get them talking about the things that matter. And, it's a very Jeffersonian thing, right? Like
to change hearts and minds, not by force,
no,
right? Not by force, not with hate, but just with a dialogue.
telling the truth is a killable offense now, apparently. It's really difficult to talk about. I think that, as you said, I tweeted out earlier on, please stop sharing the footage, because it's very, very disturbing. And that was before we knew that he was dead. Mm-hmm. And I understand in one sense people saying, no, you got to know what the violence is. I understand in one sense.
We know he's dead. We know. We know.
That's what I'm saying.
It's clear.
We don't need to see it. Nobody needs to see it. The guy died. You don't need a graphic description of how that happened.
So I want to talk about what led up to this. Because it's very interesting timing, Matt, that Charlie was just in the news. And anytime that Charlie is in the mainstream media, it's never good. There's never glowing coverage of Charlie in the mainstream media. They're always making him out to be some white devil. And maybe 36 hours ago, call it 48. It feels like just yesterday. We were talking about it yesterday. It happened the day before, I believe, that you had CNN, you had Van Jones in the conversation about this Charlotte, North Carolina stabbing, in which a Ukrainian refugee was stabbed and bled out on a public transportation train in front of bystanders who many of whom did absolutely nothing. And you had this black man pacing, saying, I got that white girl. And Charlie Kirk said something about it. Well, Van Jones went on CNN shortly afterward, and instead of making the murderer the bad guy here, instead of, putting all of the responsibility on the actual murderer who said, I got that white girl, the problem, according to CNN's Van Jones, was Charlie Kirk, of course. Watch.
So certain people have been looking for an opportunity to find a case like this, to make a point like this. I want to play, this is Charlie Kirk, why he says this hasn't gotten a lot of attention.
A white Ukrainian refugee was murdered just because she was white. Everybody knows that, obviously. If a random white person simply walked up to and stabbed a nice, law-abiding black person for no reason, it would be an apocalyptically huge national story used to impose national sweeping political changes on the whole country. Instead, Megan Basham, no one seems to care when a white woman gets stabbed to the death.
Wow. He said white a lot.
We don't know why that man did what he did.
Oh.
And for Charlie Kirk to say, we know he did it because she's white, when there's no evidence of that.
I mean,
it's
just him.
Race mongering, hate mongering, it's wrong. Then he says that if something like that had happened the other way, there would be sweeping changes imposed on society. It's about the fact that we don't know how to deal with people who are hurting in the way this man was hurting. Hurt people hurt people. What happened was horrible, but it becomes an opportunity for people to jump on bandwagons. And then for someone like Charlie Kirk, he should be ashamed of himself. No one mentioned the word race, white, black, or anything except him.
Mm.
And you wonder why people are being radicalized.
But that's a lie.
It is a lie. It is a lie because they go on there every single night and just lie. That's all they do. They just go out there with a narrative and say, how do I get from A to B with my narrative? Oh, I know. I'll just accuse Charlie Kirk of injecting race into this issue when it was clearly the killer who said something about it first.
Yeah, he said, I got the white girl.
I got the white girl. He clearly said it. We all heard him say it. And now, if you're listening to CNN, you're thinking that Charlie Kirk is the actual bad guy, not the guy who said this. Got that white girl. Got that white girl. How many times does he need to say it? And now, anyone who doesn't pay attention, who only goes and listens to CNNs and MSNBCs of the world, oh, we'll get to you next, MSNBC. They are left with the idea that Charlie Kirk is some white supremacist devil who is injecting race into everything, unreasonably so. I mean, it's like, gosh, was this only a matter of time? They tried to kill our president. That didn't work. They're just going to start, what, going after all of us now?
Well, we've said on this show many, many times that if you call someone a white supremacist, if you call them a Nazi, if you call them a fascist, then what you're doing is you're justifying any violence that is being committed against them, because those things are evil. And if you were to listen to that CNN clip, of course, that's what you would come away with, right? You'd be like, well, hang on a second. Why is he making it about this? It's lies by omission, right? Like, that's what they're doing. And these people are deeply evil. They're just deeply evil people. Now, do I know if they really think that their behavior is going to have consequences? Sometimes I don't know, Sarah. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I think it's just a game to them. But when you have the president being shot and you have a man die behind him and you have an army of people go out there within minutes, like, no, they didn't even, they're like, it's fake. He popped a blood packet. He did this. So what that does, it immediately diminishes it.
It was shrapnel, right? It was shrapnel from the teleprompter.
The teleprompter and all that. And I'm there and I'm like, listen, I'm a subject matter expert on this. I've been in movies where you use guns, right? And you make it look like you shoot people. That is impossible. It's impossible. And so just diminishing this and not saying, what they should have done then was like, hey, everybody stop. This violence is bad. We don't want it. I'm just going to say to every person that is on Twitter right now and on social media, you when you come on and say, we shouldn't have violence. You're all guilty of this. You're all guilty of it. We tried to tell you, the right tried to say, please stop, please stop, please stop, please stop this. This is the shot heard around the world, part 2. Because I'm telling you right now, my phone has been blowing up. People are like, I'm done. I'm over. Like, that's it. There's no more dialogue. I'm not having this anymore because people are getting killed. That man did not deserve to die. That is, it's a crime against humanity. It's horrendous.
Yeah, because I mean, what did he do? He said things that hurt your feelings. He talked about the actual statistics that exist, showing the disproportionate amount of violent crime that Black people commit. Oh, you're not supposed to talk about that. I know what this is supposed to do. I know exactly what this is supposed to do. This is supposed to scare every single one of us from ever speaking out about anything that we are seeing with our own eyeballs. I'm supposed to think twice before talking about the fact that we seem to see this uptick in trans people committing mass shootings. You could be shot if you say that. We're not supposed to say that. We're not supposed to say that, again, that there is a real problem in the Black community when we talk about violence. There are a lot of things now that we as conservatives that is the entire point of all of this. It's why they tried to shoot the president when he was running. What a message that would send to the masses. What a message that would send to every single one of you if you thought that you were safe to go out there and share the truth and talk about statistics and try to have a respectful dialogue with someone. You might die. That's what they want you to think. That's the message that this is supposed to send. And do you know what? I'm concerned that it's going to work.
I don't think so. I think that what this has done is it's riled something up in this country where they're going to say, I'm done. I'm not having this anymore. And I think that it's going to actually strengthen people's resolve, whether or not the left is going to get more and more violent. It is what it is. Look, Sarah, this is not just an American thing. This is a global thing. If you look at what's happening in the UK, they're doing the same thing, but they're just not using guns. Because in the UK, they don't have a First Amendment right to free speech. Trust me, if there wasn't a First Amendment right to free speech, they'd be locking you up or trying to lock you up for doing memes, right? Because this is a Marxist leftist agenda. This is communism. This is what they're doing, and they're utilizing the useful idiots to achieve their game, their goal. Yeah. That's what it is. So in the UK right now, you have people being arrested, like, for memes, but they don't, because they don't have a First Amendment right to free speech. Here, what's the alternative? They're going to kill you. They're going to harm you. They're going to threaten you with violence. But the problem is, Americans are built of different stuff, and this is not going to deter them. In fact, this is going to make people even more determined that you are not going to stifle our free speech. But there's no arguing now. If there wasn't before, there was some bullshit reason for why they said that President Trump wasn't shot. Twice? At least twice. That's gone now. We know who commits the violence. We've said it over and over again. And by the way, I do want to say this quickly, is that every single time that this woman, every time that she went to one of those drag queen story hours, it could have happened to her. So when we keep talking about getting involved and backing the people that are putting themselves out there, it could have quite easily been a mom, a daughter, a wife, a friend. So just remember that, because people put their lives on their line. It's very, very serious.
And we tried to warn them. We tried to warn the mainstream media. You're going to finally get someone killed. Hey, President Trump has had not one, but 2 assassination attempts. Many threats, 2 actual very close calls. Maybe you guys, I don't know, could tone down your rhetoric. Maybe you could stop, as Matt pointed out, maybe you could stop calling us Nazis with no evidence. Maybe you could stop calling us fascists with no evidence. Maybe you could stop calling us white supremacists with no evidence. Maybe you could stop calling the leader of our country Hitler with no evidence at all. Maybe you guys could just turn it down just a little bit. And what did they do? They went out there night after night and lied to everyone intentionally. And I am obviously a big supporter of the First Amendment and freedom of the press. But there have to be consequences.
Yeah,
there have to be consequences for this. Because again, I'm a firm believer in the First Amendment right of you to speak, but you don't get to speak without consequence, right? There's always a consequence for your actions, whether it be that, you have the right to, if you're a racist, you have the right to say you're a racist. Other people have the right to not associate with you because you say you're a racist, right? There's always a reaction to the action. And I'm just left wondering, at what point do we get there? Because you can't lie to people time and time and time again and expect nothing to happen. You can't lie about people. These are real people. I remember when, God, who was it? It was one of those bitches on The View. I don't remember which one it is, but it doesn't matter because they're all the same. And it was one of them after President Trump went up on the RNC stage at the convention, and he had the bandage on his ear. He had just gotten shot, and you had Kai Trump out there, and Kai Trump, his granddaughter, stood up there and talked about her grandfather. And what The View said was, I didn't like it because it humanizes him.
Oh my God.
It humanizes him. And I remember thinking, what? What am I hearing? These people don't want anyone to remember that we are human. And this is the end result of that. They don't want you to be humanized. They want you to be demonized. Because if you're demonized, what comes next is obvious. And what comes next is justified in their mind. That is why they are doing what they are doing. That is why you hear the rhetoric that you heard both before Charlie Kirk was killed. Did he deserve to die because he had a different opinion? Did those children deserve to grow up without a father because he had a different opinion? his beautiful wife has to navigate this alone because he had a different opinion? Is that what the left is reduced to? I hope Van Jones sees this picture of Charlie. I hope his words haunt him forever. Unfortunately, I don't think he can feel shame. I don't think any of them can feel shame. I think they are completely shameless because they are absolutely evil in their rhetoric. And guess what, Van Jones? I have the proof to back it up. I don't condemn people without proof. I have the proof to back it up. All I would have to do is roll the tape. Now, I mentioned both before and after what happened to Charlie Kirk. The coverage of this from the mainstream media at another time where you would hope that they would have just maybe some reflection, maybe some, just a momentary pause, a momentary truth. A father died today. Could you guys I don't know, stop making us the problem? No, MSNBC couldn't do that. And I'm only taking a break because we have to, but we're going to take a break. And then when we come back, I am going to play some of this absolutely unbelievable. And remember, my bar for them is already low. This is absolutely unbelievable broadcasting that you're going to hear as MSNBC is waiting to hear if Charlie Kirk lives or dies when we come back. As I said, the mainstream media has no bottom. There's no bottom. You think that they've hit the bottom of the barrel and you think they can't go any lower than this. And then they just do it. They just do it. There's no bottom for how bad and loathsome they can be. And so MSNBC today, following the shooting and killing of Charlie Kirk, you see, it's still
surreal, and
yeah, I can't. I feel like I'm going to be sick anytime I say it because it feels like this can't possibly be true.
It's very weird.
But MSNBC, after they've seen, which they've seen, right? They're talking about the shooting of Charlie Kirk, and they've clearly seen the video of Charlie getting shot in the neck area. You can see it. I don't advise you go looking for it. Just take my word for it, okay? I wish that I could unsee it. And I want to play for you what MSNBC said following the shooting.
In which a shooting like this happens.
Yeah, and again, to emphasize what you just emphasized, we don't know any of the full details of this. We don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea. But
What the?
If I were writing, you obviously your background is Hollywood and movies. If I were writing a script for the worst, most disgusting people on the face of the planet, I couldn't even write it this bad. I couldn't even, my brain wouldn't even go there because it's so inherently disgusting and low. I wouldn't be able to come up with it if I were trying to write it in a script.
I think that what the world is seeing, and it's happened since COVID, what the world is seeing is the real evil that are in positions of power. Because, look, we are, as Christians, our parameters are given to us by the Almighty, right? We try and, even if just like the Ten Commandments, right? You live your life a certain way, which Charlie did. And
Did.
I'm not going to say that he's looking into the face of God right now. But these people do not have anything like that regulating their lives. Yeah. And so you would hope, in the absence of that, that you would have a hierarchy in their company that would say, you have to be decent. You have to behave a certain way. Don't say this or you're going to get fired. Don't say this. And even for self-preservation, they would say, I might have this really distasteful thing to say, but I shouldn't probably say it. But they don't. And the reason why they don't is because they never get fired. And the reason why they never get fired is the left owns the media, pretty much.
And this is the point. Isn't this the point?
It's exactly the point.
If it wasn't the point, we would see some sort of change. I don't think it's ever been more clear that this is the point of mainstream media. And it goes on. I'm not done. Let's play the, again, we are literally waiting to see if Charlie Kirk is alive or dead. And we see what happened there. But in the moment, we have no idea. And this is what else MSNBC decided to say about the late Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk is a divisive figure, polarizing, lightning rod, whatever term you want to use. Why?
Well, he's one of MAGA's most prominent voices online. He hosts a near daily podcast. He opines on almost everything. He's been very closely aligned with the president since his initial run for office in 2015, 2016. And his ties to Trump really elevated his own brand.
He is very divisive and polarizing. He is a very divisive and polarizing figure. Why? Because you guys made him that way. You guys did that. You guys made him that way. I knew Charlie Kirk, and he was a good man. And you guys turned him into evil. You guys turned him into the devil. You guys turned him into being divisive and polarizing. Because if you truly listened to what he was saying, he wasn't just making stuff up out of thin air. He always had a statistic or some sort of truth that he, of course, used to get to his place of reason. You just didn't like it. You just didn't like it because it jeopardized your ideology. Why was he divisive? He sat there on these campuses and said, come talk to me. I'll give you a chair. I'll give you a microphone. I will broadcast your opinion everywhere for everyone to see. How is that divisive?
Well, look, I mean, even if it was, does that mean he should be shot and killed for it? I mean, it's an absurd statement. To even come out with that is not only inappropriate, but it's just terrible journalism. I mean, it's just, well, he's a divisive person. The guy just got shot. Well, why don't you look at it the other way? Why don't you look at it and say, actually, he was trying to bring people together by explaining his side, and he gave other people the mic. That's not divisive. If you watch, and trust me, many a night I have been on my way to bed and I've gone and I'm like, all right, I'm going to watch some Charlie, right? Because he was such a good man. Like I said, I found that my kids were watching his stuff. And I didn't ever take it to them, or they were like, oh, we love Charlie Kirk, I've learned this from him and blah. He's completely the opposite of him. But again, like you said, Sarah, he's divisive because they labeled him divisive. He's divisive because they did selective coverage of what he did. They know. And what they try and do, because the left, they will never take ownership. They're such children that they will never take ownership of their own behavior. And so watch the pivot now. Yeah. Watch the pivot. It'll be like guns. You watch. That's the next pivot. It's going to be, it's guns.
I have a question. Have you ever known a fascist to give someone else a microphone to let them speak? It's just a question. I mean, because Charlie Kirk and all of us are the fascists. Have you ever known someone to do that?
Do you know what they do? They shoot you for having a different opinion to them.
You're right. It's almost as if it's all been projection this entire time. The fascists are the ones who try to kill political opponents for believing something that they don't believe. The fascists are the ones who kill some guy at a college campus for trying to invite a respectful dialogue. Again, you tell me, Van Jones, where do I have that wrong? Now, It keeps going. MSNBC, they couldn't help themselves. They were foaming at the mouth, chomping at the bit for something like this to happen, clearly, because they couldn't help but continue on. Watch.
Because as we were just talking about a moment ago with Alan, after one of the Doge employees was allegedly attacked in Washington, D.C., that's what Donald Trump used as justification to send in federal troops into Washington, D.C. to get things under control. The carjacking situation, he used that. And I know it's hard to predict the future, Mark, but you can imagine the administration using this as a justification for something.
I must admit, I'm at a loss to guess as to what happens next.
You've got to be kidding me.
Oh, you could imagine that the fascist Nazi administration, that Trump administration, literally Hitler administration, must be thinking about using this for justification for something. Again, Matt, I couldn't write it. I couldn't write it better if I had tried. And here they are, just caricatures of what the mainstream media, of what journalism is supposed to be. And this is what's going on in their sick heads as we are waiting to see if the man who has been responsible for changing young Americans' minds and hearts towards conservatism, if we're waiting to see if he lives or dies, and that is what is going on in MSNBC's mind.
I think that what COVID did was it showed us what people were willing to do for power over others. You saw it over and over and over. I know you got it. I got it. Yeah. You know, I hope you die. Yeah. You know, I got told I hope my kids die, you know, because, you know, they're such wonderful people. And what it did was it exposed this really disgusting, nasty underbelly of the left. It's got worse. It's got more radical. And part of the problem is that it is systemic. They talk about, you know, systemic racism. You ask them, can you show me some of it? No. If you want to see systemic leftism, it's everywhere in almost every college campus across the country. And this has been something that's been building for quite some time. It's a major problem because you've got radicals, you got radicals and the useful idiots, right? And the ones that want to glob onto something and feel like because they don't have God, that they want to feel part of something bigger, so they glob onto this. And what has happened is these people now, over the past 15 years, have risen to positions of power. And that's very, very problematic. And until America, and I mean all the right, like, stop sending your kids to liberal colleges, guys. Stop it. Stop it. Start turning up to your school boards and asking for these to get fired, who think it's okay for kids to go into males, to go into females' changing rooms. This is what we've said all along. You've tried to ring the warning bell on this so many times, and we keep saying, get involved, get involved, get involved. Well, this is what happens. You raise these people eventually get to the top because they're not like us. And this is part of the problem with the rugged individualism of the right. They don't look after each other. We know all about that, right? The right does not look after each other. But the left promotes because they understand power, right? We want to do it through virtue, and we want to do it through achievement. They want to do it to wield power. So then what you've got these hotbeds of radicalism that are teaching kids, no, you know what? America's a bad place. Charlie Kirk is evil. That's why Charlie Kirk went to the belly of the beast to take him out. He knew where he had to get in. And all he needed was that little bit of an opening. And what did he do? He said, you've seen it 1,000 times when he's having this conversation. Well, okay, I'm willing to listen to you. Okay, he's very respectful. Even when people are yelling at him, it was unbelievable. I would not be that cool. I'll be getting up and I'll be punching their lights out, right? And he was such a gentleman. But this is all throughout America. And now the right has to understand. They have to understand what is going on. Because I'll tell you this, what you said about dehumanizing President Trump, when you are a celebrity, you're dehumanized. You're just this person. You're this figure that people look at, and you're a cardboard cutout. That's what you are. You're not a real person. You don't have a family. Well, Charlie was different because everybody saw him as a real guy. And he said, look, I think part of it is he's like, I didn't go to college. I'm an autodidact. I did all these things. And so people could relate to that, and they loved the way he was with people. So I think now that what they've aimed to do is going to result in the actual opposite. I think that Charlie is going to be greater. Now, I think his legacy is going to be picked up by millions of people. I really do. And it's I still can't believe it. Like you're saying, it's like, hang on a second. I want to go and see him on college. Like, I want my kids to see him on college campus. He's gone. But this is what they do. He was a danger to them. And we have to understand, and I want everybody watching to understand, this is a spiritual war between good and evil. And he was a good man. And he was a Bible-believing Christian. And they can't have that. And now I hope you understand what you're up against and what we deal with every day behind the scenes, right?
Yeah. I want to get into the youth and their reaction and some of the rhetoric that's being spewed on TikTok. But I want to first, let's just go ahead and, you may have thought, surely MSNBC couldn't have said anything worse than what you just heard. Well, again, I tell you, there's no bottom of the barrel for them. It just keeps going. It's a bottomless pit straight to hell. And here is, it might take the cake here, MSNBC today.
Which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
And that's the unfortunate environment we're in.
Turning Point USA has confirmed that he was shot.
Come on. You can't say these awful things like we should have low taxes. You can't say these awful things like we shouldn't be telling people that they were born in the wrong body. We shouldn't be enabling mental delusion. You shouldn't be telling people things like, hey, corruption in the FBI is bad. Those are awful things, awful thoughts. You can't tell people awful thoughts and expect awful things not to happen. What a piece of shit. What an absolute garbage person. I had to look this up. I believe his name is Matthew Dowd. And from what I read, this guy was billed as a former Bush Cheney advisor, consultant, and also, you're going to be shocked to hear this, Matt, Kamala supporter was what I read. So here trots along the leftists who are here to tell you that if you say the same, quote, awful things that Charlie Kirk said, which is, let's be honest, when you're the left and you're saying that someone else said awful things, it's just anything that they disagree with. Anything that they disagree with is awful and bad and racist and transphobic and homophobic and xenophobic and all the phobics. It just literally comes down to anything they disagree with. Okay? So according to them, if you say things that they deem awful, because they are the thought police, if you say anything that they deem awful, you can expect awful things to happen to you. Now the question is MSNBC going to say a damn word about what the that guy just said?
No, because they all agree with him. That's why he can say what he said. They all know. By the way, isn't it amazing when we look at how difficult it was for Trump in his first administration to get anything done, and you realize that this guy was an advisor for Bush Cheney, and then he supports Kamala. You're like, right. Does that indicate at all that it's the uniparty, right, and then Trump came along and was a disruptor? It's
that writes itself, right?
At least, like I said, there's what's amazing about this is you're seeing all the cockroaches. Mm-hmm. The light is exposing all the cockroaches. And I want to say this as well, Sarah. The things that they do, for example, enable the trans hoax. Mm-hmm. Why do we push against that? Right. Well, the first thing is because it's actually harmful to the children, right? We say this and we say, no, we shouldn't be doing this because it's actually harmful. Why do they say it? Because they want to enable and they want votes. It's all, that's all they understand is power. The reason why the left wants illegals in it doesn't matter. They can murder people. They want the votes. And you've seen it over and over and over again. And this is like I said, it's a communist play. Like, that is really what we're dealing with. And they might have these unholy alliances. In the UK, it's a communist play with an unholy alliance with radical Islam. Over here, it's the LGBT, the mafia. I can't even remember how many words there are now. So, how many letters there are. This is what the game is. And they are very, very well funded. As I said, they've taken over academia. They've taken over media. I mean, how is MSNBC even on the air anymore? Yeah. I mean, I don't think they've ever had a good take. So here's the thing, Sarah. By the time you go on air tomorrow, how many firings do you think there's going to be?
Zero. They're just going to move on with their lives. They're just going to move on, and they're going to continue. I mean, they couldn't stop for 2 seconds for us to find out whether or not Charlie Kirk survived an assassination attempt. Do you think that they actually care that the assassin was successful? Of course. I mean, they care in the sense that they're happy. You don't say stuff like that unless you are so dead inside that that's what you want to happen. I'm convinced of that. So,
can you imagine us saying it? Can you imagine
not
someone being shot?
Show me any conservative, any prominent conservative. Show me after something terrible happens to the left. Show me any prominent conservative who goes out there and says something like that. Any. You can't find one. And when we come back, I want to, I'm going to play for you. It's bottom of the barrel stuff. Again, TikTok, people's reaction to Charlie Kirk being shot is just, I am losing faith in humanity at an accelerated rate, and I'll keep it at that. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back. I've lost a lot of faith in humanity today, and if MSNBC clips weren't enough, this is, I want to play for you a kind of a montage of TikTok reactions to Charlie Kirk being shot. Again, awaiting to see whether he lives or dies. He died, but I don't think any of these people care. First Nepal and now Charlie Kirk shot in Utah. Is something happening? This woman's laughing. Charlie Kirk got shot. When you've been manifesting for it to happen, but it ends up happening to Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was just shot in the neck at a Utah event. And she does the L for loser on her head. These are real people. And these are their reactions that they feel proud about enough to put out there for the entire world to see. And I would like to personally say to all of them, F you. F you. You will get what's coming to you one way or the other in the afterlife. Okay? That's fine. We don't condone any sort of violence, but it will happen. You will have to answer for all of what you're doing, for encouraging violence, for being excited about someone being shot, about a father and a husband being shot and later dying. I mean, that's the guy. And you guys are gleefully celebrating this father and husband being shot. You're going to have to answer for that. And I hope that you're prepared for that. Because God's really not going to like that. But then again, none of you believe in God anyway. So what's the point? And isn't that, as you said, the crux of all of this?
Yeah, I mean, but the sad thing for them is he's real, so they're going to get it one way or the other anyway.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, listen, you're going to find out. Like, you'll find out. I don't know what else to tell you.
Well, I just hope that people really, truly understand what we're dealing with. I mean, this is what we're dealing with. This is what you're...
Matt, I think that if it was at all unclear, it's clear now.
I hope so. I hope so, Sarah, because I mean, one of the greatest things, who's looking and say, well, why do bad things happen to good people, is that there's inevitably some greater good coming out of it eventually. I know it's difficult at the time, but hopefully it will galvanize people to understand that we're in a spiritual battle and there's evil out there, and we're facing it on a daily basis. Because just put down your phone, put down the screen, turn away, go to church, pick up your Bible, start looking, because that's the only way any of this will make sense, because that doesn't make sense. These beautiful kids, I mean, it's his beautiful wife, it's so tragic. And how anyone can ever celebrate the death of someone is beyond me. It's demonic. And by the way, you get kicked off TikTok for saying retard. How the hell is this stuff still on TikTok? These demons, these monsters, that's what they are. They're monsters.
They are. And I would be willing to, because you say oh, well, they lump all of us in as the same thing, so you don't want to do the same to them. I would be willing to say this was a lone shooter. I'm not going to hold anyone else responsible. If the mainstream media had come out and been responsible and said, this is terrible, this is horrifying, nobody should have to live this way, nobody should have to be in fear for their life because they have a different opinion. I mean, they could have taken the time to do that, and instead they chose a different route. And that is how you know that this is all by design. They're all in it together. This was, of course, the entire intention behind any of it.
Well, they've done it over and over and over. It's not like it's the first time.
Yeah. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be right back. Matt, I appreciate you being here to process our feelings in real time. I know it's not an easy thing to do, and I appreciate you. I would ask everyone to keep Charlie Kirk's family in your prayers, his wife, his young children, and everyone who knew him. Keep our country in your prayers, please.